Hey y'all, it's Quinn. I've carried this story with me for over a decade now, and it's time I share it. It's a tale that's marked my life in ways I can't even put into words. This took place in 2005. Back then, I was 14, and my brother Logan was 18. We lived a simple life on our family farm in the rural Midwest. Our summer days seemed endless, filled with chores and routines, but the evenings, those long, quiet evenings, were our escape. Our neighbor, Mr. Eldridge, the strange figure who settled in our town, remains etched in my memory. In his late 40s, he was a towering figure over 6'4". He wore a perpetually hard look on his weathered face. His beard, a blend of darkness and silver, framed piercing green eyes that seemed to see straight through you. He rarely ventured into town, choosing the solitude of his vast property over social interactions. In a place where everyone knows everyone else, Eldridge was the exception. He was the shadowy neighbor, a recluse amid a community of friends and family. What made him more intriguing was the fact that he was a native German in our small American town, arriving here without knowing a single person. He had a pack of German Shepherd hunting dogs who he barked commands to in his native tongue, making him all the more intimidating. Despite our curiosity, we learned to keep our distance, sensing an unspoken barrier that warned us to stay away. Little did we realize the depths of his seclusion and the secrets he hid until we stumbled upon the horrors he harbored, forever changing our perception of the quiet man next door. Eldridge owned a large swathe of land next to our property, bordering up against an even larger national park, making the area an untamed wilderness. The woods on his land were filled with wildlife and adventure, so we often explored through his lands, despite the numerous no trespassing signs. One day, Logan and I were on one of our usual hikes through the woods. We were tracking a doe and her fawns deep into Mr. Eldridge's territory. That was when we stumbled upon something we had no idea existed: a cabin. The cabin was a hidden gem among the pine trees, carefully concealed from view. It stood as a sturdy structure, well maintained despite its remote location. Its weathered wooden exterior blended seamlessly with the surrounding forest, making it almost invisible unless you were right on top of it. The windows, though clean and intact, seemed to stare out with an uncanny emptiness, giving the impression that the cabin held secrets within. Logan, ever the curious one, wanted to check it out. I was a bit wary, but curiosity got the better of me, and I agreed to go along. That's when our journey began. Little did we know that the seemingly simple cabin held secrets that would change our lives forever. Logan, always up for an adventure, looked at the mysterious cabin with a glint in his eyes. I knew without asking that he wouldn't be satisfied until we checked it out. So there we were at the cabin's front door. Logan tried the handle, but it wouldn't budge. He gave it a solid push, but it held firm. Locked, Logan muttered, annoyance clear in his voice. He turned his attention to a nearby window, his curiosity getting the best of him. With a determined effort, he managed to pry it open. "Come on, Quinn," he said, motioning for me to join him inside. Reluctantly, I followed him through the window. The interior of Eldridge's cabin was austere and bare, echoing his solitary existence. Dim light filtered through thick curtains, creating an eerie atmosphere among the simple furnishings. A worn-out armchair, a small wooden table cluttered with old books and maps, and a rusted stove occupied the main space. The air carried a faint scent of pine. It felt like a place frozen in time where the outside world was held at bay, and secrets were carefully concealed behind the walls of weathered wood. I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease, but I kept that to myself. Logan, always the adventurous one, seemed unfazed. As we quietly explored, Logan suddenly pointed to the floor. "Hey, look," he said, crouching down. "Bloodstains." My heart raced. "Blood? Are you sure?" Logan chuckled, trying to reassure me. "Relax, Quinn, probably just deer blood. Forest is filled with game. How do you think Eldridge avoids the grocery store?" But something didn't sit right with me. As I examined the stains more closely, I noticed an oddity. The floorboards beneath the stains weren't flush. I nudged Logan and pointed to the uneven boards. "Look at this," I whispered. We both crouched down to inspect further. It was like a puzzle piece slowly falling into place. These uneven floorboards seemed to conceal something beneath. As we knelt down to inspect the uneven floorboards, I noticed something peculiar: a small, inconspicuous knot in the wooden panel. It seemed out of place, unlike the surrounding floorboards. Logan, always sharp-eyed, quickly realized it wasn't just any knot. It was a hidden latch. With cautious anticipation, He pressed the knot, and to our amazement, the floorboard gave a soft click and popped up slightly. We exchanged glances, realizing that this was no ordinary floorboard. It was a hidden trapdoor. Working together, we carefully lifted the lid, revealing a wooden staircase leading beneath. The darkness below beckoned us to explore further, and with a mix of curiosity and apprehension, we prepared to descend into the unknown. The staircase led down into complete darkness, and as soon as Logan took the first step, I couldn't help but feel a rush of apprehension. But the desire to know what lay below was getting the better of me. Logan continued down, but I hesitated. "Wait up there, Quinn," Logan whispered as he descended. "I'll find the light." I stayed at the top of the staircase, feeling the chill of the underground room seep up toward me. Logan used the flame from his pocket lighter to cast a faint glow, illuminating the eerie surroundings. After a few moments, his eyes fell on a string hanging from the ceiling. With a flick of his wrist, Logan pulled the string, and suddenly the room was bathed in a dim, fluorescent glow. The sudden illumination revealed the room's disturbing contents. As I made my way down the stairs, my heart raced. Logan stood there, dumbfounded, and I understood why. Shock gripped us at the sight before our eyes. The room, damp and reeking of chemicals, seemed to have been recently washed down, leaving an eerie, sanitized feeling in the air. In the center stood a surgical table, its presence sending shivers down our spines. Straps, ominously prepared for restraining some unseen victim, hung from the table's sides. Against one wall, rusty shackles jutted out, evoking a sense of horror and captivity. The entire room seemed to scream of something deeply sinister, an unsettling aura that clawed at our senses. Every detail, every scent whispered a chilling truth. Whatever had transpired here was far from ordinary, far from anything we could have ever imagined. The realization settled upon us like a suffocating fog, intensifying the fear that had already taken hold of our hearts. Logan's voice trembled as he muttered, This is not normal. It's like some kind of kill room or something." Panic hit hard and we wasted no time. "Let's get out of here," I whispered, terrified almost beyond words. With wide eyes and racing hearts, we hurriedly retreated up the stairs, leaving the haunting chamber behind. The dimming light outside was a welcome sight, and we knew we needed to get out of there fast. We closed the trapdoor and the window behind us to conceal our visit. As we headed home, our minds raced with questions, fear gnawing away at our thoughts. What had we stumbled upon? And what kind of horrors had taken place in that grim, hidden chamber? Back in the safety of our own home, my first instinct was to pick up the phone and call the police. But Logan, ever the rational one, reminded me of a grim reality. We had no real evidence of a crime being committed, except for the one we had just committed ourselves by breaking into Mr. Eldridge's cabin. "It could be a misunderstanding," Logan reasoned, his voice laden with caution. "We don't know the whole story. If we call the cops and are wrong, I could get jail time." I had forgotten my brother was now 18 and considered an adult. The last thing I wanted to see was my brother's life derailed by legal problems. Waiting made sense, but the unease gnawing at my gut wouldn't relent. I couldn't shake the feeling that we had uncovered something sinister. In the back of my mind, I couldn't help but recall the stories of people going missing in the bordering national park, especially recently. It had always been a local mystery, chalked up to accidents, lost hikers, or the occasional wild animal attack. But now, with what we had seen, doubts began to creep in. Were those mysteries truly as simple as they seemed? Or was there something darker lurking in the depths of those woods, something connected to Mr. Eldridge and his twisted cabin? Logan proposed a plan that left me with mixed emotions. He suggested we go back to the cabin and take a closer look, try to get something concrete before telling anyone. I hesitated, fear constricting my chest, but I trusted my brother implicitly. Throughout our lives, he has always kept me safe. Still, I had one condition. Before we returned, we had to be absolutely certain that Mr. Eldridge wasn't lurking nearby, ready to confront us. We needed a plan, and we needed to be careful. Logan and I gathered our supplies in hushed anticipation, including our dad's Remington Model 700 hunting rifle. Logan, being the outdoorsman in the family, checked it meticulously, ensuring it was loaded and ready for any unforeseen circumstances. We exchanged glances, understanding the gravity of the situation. Before making our way back to the cabin, we decided to check on Mr. Eldridge. From our concealed vantage point in the tree line, we watched as he fed his 4 formidable German shepherds. Each dog devoured chunks of raw meat, their imposing figures a testament to their strength and training. They snarled and growled at each other as they fought over the scraps. The sight left us uneasy, but we pressed on with our mission. We had initially believed that the encroaching darkness and Mr. Eldridge's focus on his dogs would keep him away from the cabin. We were wrong. As night fell, a thick blanket of darkness settled over the forest. Logan and I made our way back to the cabin. My heart pounded in my chest as we ventured deeper into the forest. I could feel a sense of impending danger, the crunch of leaves beneath our feet amplifying in the silence. The beam of the flashlight cut through the darkness, revealing gnarled tree branches that seemed to reach out for us. Despite the fear that gripped me, a sense of determination propelled me forward. I couldn't shake the feeling that the truth, something sinister, was waiting to be unveiled in that cabin. The thought of what might be taking place behind the trapdoor fueled my trepidation, building a growing sense of foreboding that clung to the very air around us. With every step, the weight of the unknown pressed down upon me, and I knew that whatever lay ahead could change our lives forever. As we approached the cabin, its outline barely visible against the ink-black night, I prepared myself for what we were about to face, the dread curling in my stomach like a coiled serpent. We entered through the window, like last time. Our eyes widened in disbelief as we noticed what smelled like an odd stew simmering on the rusty stovetop. This was a telltale sign that Mr. Eldridge might return tonight. It was concerning, but we decided we might as well take a quick look around. With cautious determination, we pressed on the trap door's latch, preparing for whatever we might uncover beneath. The familiar creak echoed through the cabin as we opened it, revealing a room engulfed in an unsettling metallic smell, reminiscent of fresh blood. It hung heavy in the air, choking our senses. Alarmed by the foreboding atmosphere, we ventured down, emboldened by the presence of the Remington in Logan's hands. The light had been left on, casting eerie shadows across the walls. Our eyes fell upon a stream of blood, leading toward a drain in the center of the room. The medical table, stained with fresh blood, stood as a horrifying testament to unspeakable acts. A bone saw lay ominously beside the table, its purpose sending shivers down our spines. On the other side of the room, we spotted two items that froze us in our tracks: a vacuum sealer and a large white freezer, its steady hum filling the room with a dreadful anticipation. We approached the freezer with a sense of horror. Logan slowly lifted the door and it creaked open, releasing a blast of frigid air and a sickeningly sweet stench. What lay inside was beyond the realm of nightmare. Meticulously processed, vacuum-sealed human body parts were neatly arranged within the vast, icy chamber. The sight froze our very souls. Logan, his hands shaking, picked up a package labeled Lean Male, Approx 30, Heart, containing what was unmistakably a human heart, chillingly not yet fully frozen. As we stared in disbelief, our eyes traced the horrifying inventory. Hearts, arms, a foot, a liver, limbs, all had a macabre description written in black marker over the vacuum-sealed packages. There must have been countless victims inside that freezer. The level of depravity before us was unimaginable, and the reality of the situation crashed down upon us like a tidal wave of terror. Mr. Eldridge was a cannibal. The room seemed to close in, the walls pressing in around us as the weight of the gruesome discovery bore down. In a frenzy, Logan fumbled with his camera, attempting to capture the ghastly evidence. But I couldn't bear to stay a moment longer. My fear had transformed into a primal instinct, urging me to flee, to escape this macabre nightmare. "Enough playing Detective Logan," I screamed, grabbing his arm and pulling him away from the grisly scene. He dropped the camera in a moment of panic, and together we sprinted up the stairs, our footsteps echoing in the empty cabin. The truth we had uncovered was too horrifying to comprehend, and our only thought was to escape the clutches of this monstrous revelation. We burst out of the cabin, leaving the door wide open, our breaths ragged gasps in the cold night air. The moment we got outside, we heard the menacing barks of Eldridge's dogs echoing through the woods, a sound that meant he was right behind them. Fear gripped our hearts, and adrenaline urged us to run. As we sprinted back into the woods, the barks grew louder and closer. Glancing back, I saw Eldridge emerge by the cabin, a tall, sinister figure in his 40s. His frame was gangly, his appearance unkempt, and his jeans and denim jacket blended into the darkness. His voice sliced through the night air, a command that chilled us to the bone. "Fass!" he yelled to the dogs, which I would later learn was the German equivalent of Sickum. The German shepherds, vicious and relentless, were unleashed upon us. Their snarls echoed through the woods, a symphony of terror. We raced, desperation pounding in our hearts. But the dogs were seasoned hunters, driven by an insatiable hunger for the kill. Logan, in a desperate attempt, fired a shot into the air, hoping to scare them off. But their instincts outweighed fear. They kept coming. The realization struck us like a blow. The dogs were closing in. With every step, their growls grew louder, their eyes glinting with predatory intent. We needed a plan, fast. Spotting a towering tree, we climbed, our limbs propelled by sheer terror. The dogs followed, snarling and yapping at the base of the tree, their hunger evident in their wild, bloodshot eyes. Eldridge approached slowly, taking his time, like a spider moving towards his prey. Eldridge's thick German accent cut through the night. "Come down now," he commanded, his tone chilling. "We just want to talk." Silence was our defense. He swore in German, frustration contorting his face. For what felt like an eternity, we clung to the tree, hidden among the foliage, and he just stood there, thinking, I suppose. Eventually, he relented. Eldridge barked a command to the dogs, and they stayed, their eyes fixated on us, hunger etched into their every movement. I could hear them whining and barking, their frustration evident. Eldridge turned and left, disappearing into the night, leaving us perched high above, our hearts racing with fear and uncertainty in the suffocating darkness. We clung to that tree all through the pitch-black night. Every rustle of leaves and every snap of a twig sent jolts of fear through us. At some point, the sounds of Eldridge's dogs seemed to fade and eventually stop, leaving behind an eerie silence. But we dared not move, terrified that the slightest sound might betray our position, wary of a trap. As the first light of dawn painted the sky, we cautiously descended from our perch. I led the way, Logan covering me with the rifle, our eyes scanning the surroundings for any sign of danger. With bated breath, we made our way home, adrenaline still pumping through our veins, our every step heavy with dread. When we finally stumbled through our front door, our parents wrapped us in tearful hugs, their relief palpable. We recounted our harrowing tale, every chilling detail tumbling from our lips in a rush of fear and urgency. The police first went to Eldridge's house, only to find it eerily deserted. His absence hung in the air like a sinister omen. They searched every corner, but he was gone along with his dogs, his guns, and all his camping gear. A creeping sense of dread settled over us as we led the officers to the cabin, the place where our nightmares had taken root. But upon arrival, all that remained was a smoldering ruin. The once ominous cabin was reduced to ashes, a testament to Eldridge's attempts to erase the horrors within. The police officer's skepticism became apparent. Suspicion was etched on his face. He looked at us, frowning, his tone accusatory. "For all I know, you could have done something to him, then burned down the cabin to hide the evidence," he said, somewhat half-heartedly. The officer, seemingly uninterested and dismissive, explained the lack of evidence. No body, no missing person, no crime scene, and no motive. A palpable frustration settled over us as we realized the enormity of the challenge we faced. The officer's words cut like a knife as we realized he wasn't taking this seriously. That said, he did issue an alert for Eldridge. He was wanted for questioning, although no charges could be laid at this point in time. But Eldridge seemed to have vanished into the vast expanse of the national parklands. It was as if he had melted into the shadows, leaving no trace behind. The investigation into the burned cabin yielded little. Despite our terrifying discoveries, what remained of the freezer was empty, devoid of the horrors we had seen. Any potential blood evidence had been consumed by the flames, leaving us with nothing to prove the reality of our nightmare. Logan's camera was never recovered. In the years that followed, the name Eldridge became a whispered cautionary tale, a specter lingering in the shadows of our memories. He never returned to his house and never stepped back into the light of our small town. Instead, he seemed to have vanished, swallowed by the vast wilderness of America's national parks. The dense forests and sprawling landscapes became his sanctuary, a realm where he could blend seamlessly, where his grisly secrets were hidden beneath layers of foliage and shadow. We knew he was an experienced woodsman, equipped with knowledge, dogs, camping gear, and firearms. With these tools, he could survive indefinitely, perhaps building another cabin or stalking the remote corners of the parks, his sinister presence lurking just out of sight. To many in town, the story of Eldridge served as a chilling reminder. A reminder that beneath the serene beauty of the forest, behind the facade of nature's tranquility, there might be darkness. There might be danger. People continued to go missing in our neck of the woods, the enigma of their disappearances casting a perpetual shadow over our town. We couldn't help but wonder, was he behind it? Was he still out there, hunting in the depths of the forest? His vicious dogs chasing down his next victim. Many believe he's still out there, older, wiser, and more cunning. Hidden among the trees, taking advantage of the kind nature and compassion of camping folk. So, to anyone venturing into the deep woods and national parks, remember this tale. Be cautious, be vigilant, because in the heart of nature, where the world is wild and untamed, you never know who or what might be lurking in the shadows, waiting to emerge and shatter the illusion of safety. Beware, for the wilderness holds secrets, some too horrifying to contemplate.